Hey guys, welcome back to Party Paper Tears. My name is Bree, and you're probably not used to my voice. Usually my mom is on here showing you all of her amazing projects, but today I thought I'd show you one of my own. I'm going to teach you how to make and sew on the side your own field style journals. They're really fun and easy to make, and you can make a handful of them for the price that you would pay for one field note. So let's get started. So, one of the first things you're going to need is a bookbinding kit. Not to say that you can't get the pieces individually, but these are pretty cheap off of Amazon. I'll put a link below where I got mine, and it comes with pretty much everything you need to get started. A couple of things not in that bag are clips, which we're going to be using to kind of hold our spine together. My awl, it did come in here, but I use it for a myriad of other projects, so we'll be using that as well. And the same thing with my bone folder. They also came in this bag. So let's open it up and see what it came with. Like I said, I got this whole kit off of Amazon. It came just like this. So we have our wax thread first, in many different colors, and a good amount of it too. So we really don't have to worry about learning how to wax our own threads and anything until we're ready for that step. We also have a glue brush. I haven't gotten into gluing books yet, but I'm really excited to give it a try and see how it goes. We have a couple of needles. I'm not really sure what these needles do in particular that other needles don't do, besides have like bigger eye holes to fit thicker thread. But these do come in there and they're pretty sweet. And we have our C needles, which are the ones that I use most often. I just find that I have a better grip on them rather than the straight needles when sewing books. And this is the one that I always usually use. I think it's the biggest C needle in there, and it just helps me with my tiny hands to sew the book. We also have this little pamphlet of instructions. I don't know if you can see that with the glare. That basically tells you how to basic stitch. So you can pause to read that if you want to. This is going to be what I'm showing you today. So not bad. And we'll go ahead and put this up and we'll get started. We're ready to get started now. And you're going to need a couple of things too. This is what I'm doing for my book. And your book can differ greatly in size and shape, but this is just the one that I'm showing you right now that were pretty much the same as these that I had for an example in the beginning. So the first thing I'm going to need, I'm going to get 10 just pieces of paper. I feel like that's the easiest number to work with at a time, and these are just regular printer paper. I'm also going to have one piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. This is 65 pound, I believe. And that's what we'll be using for the cover. So the first step I like to do is fold my paper and make my signature. A signature is just a group of papers that you are going to use in your book. And since this is already 8.5 by 11, I'm just going to fold this and use this as my size. Nothing fancy here. And we're going to find the center, which is pretty easy, and then go over with the bone folder. And now you have your first 2 pages. Well, 4 actually, because it's front and back, right? So we're going to do that with our next page. We're just going to find those edges, fold it over, Give it a good press with our fingers. And then we're going to go over that edge with our bone folder to make sure it's nice and crisp. Now the way we're going to do this is we're going to stack these inside of each other to make our signature. So you're going to have one sheet of paper opened up. This is the other one, and you're just going to slot it right in there. And you're going to do these for all of them. Different stitch types will have you like making different sizes of these. Like you might have 5-page signatures for a different book type. Today I'm just going to put all 10 pages inside of one another so I can sew them at the same time. But if you guys like this video, I can maybe show you the different stitch types and how to sew together signatures. That way you can have several of these. I'm going to fold the rest of these pages and do the exact same thing. Now that we folded all of our pages, we're going to go ahead and move to the cover. Again, this is just a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. The color doesn't matter so much. You use whatever color you want. Okay, now that we have our cover folded, I'm going to show you where we're going to put the holes. I'm going to mark it out with a pen here, and I like to just put a hole about 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from each edge. That just kind of ensures that I get a sturdy hold on the side of my notebook. That way I don't feel like I'm gonna bend the edges out or rip out of the top or the bottom of the book when I'm doing this. And then another dot I'm placing just kind of in the middle of them. It's not perfectly placed. You can take the time to perfectly place yours, but I haven't found that it matters much other than aesthetically. So now we're going to take our awl and we're going to mark each dot. We're going to poke a hole through it. And you just making sure you want to go a little bit of a ways through with your awl just to make the hole wide enough. It's still going to be a tight fit with the thread and the needle that I'm using, but you want a snug fit, but you also want it big enough that you're not ripping through the paper and messing with the integrity of the paper. So yeah, so just go through each of the holes that you marked. It's a little hard to get through them without when I'm trying to show you guys, but this is basically what I'm doing. I'm just putting it through enough. And then we have our 3 holes here that we're going to use to sew. And now we're just going to go get our stack of papers, our signature. And I'm going to lay my cover on the inside first. That way we can poke the holes through the stack of paper. And you just want to make sure everything's lined up good. Everything's flush with the top and the bottom. And then you want to take your awl again and just push all the way through all the pages. It's going to take a little force, but just make sure you're on the crease and it'll be fine. And you're just pushing through. It's about that much. About that much is how much I'm pushing through. And then you should be able to take your cover and put it on the outside of the stack, and you should have perfectly lined holes. So now we get to the fun part. We get to the sewing part. I'm going to use this colorful thread right here. Like I said, all these threads are pre-waxed, but I do know how to wax my own threads. So if you guys want a video on that, I can show you. But this kit was so cool. It came with the threads already waxed. So that's why I really recommend one of these kits. And This takes me a while, okay? I want to be realistic here. I did cut a little bit out of this process, and sorry about the focusing thing. I'm still getting used to this camera. But basically, the end of the thread is going to come apart. It's not a big deal because it is waxed. You just kind of pinch it back together. But I just kind of push it through and then find a small piece that went through the hole and then pull it through the other side. And now I'm measuring 3 times the length of my book, which is a bit overkill, but I'm going to end up using this thread anyway, so I don't see it as a waste. So it's not a big deal. So you can measure, exactly how much thread it takes you to try to preserve your thread, or you can just measure 3 times the length of the book. I'd rather have too much than not enough, because restarting your needle and thread and putting it, that's a whole thing, so you don't want to be doing that. So now you just kind of want to twist this. It's not going to stay together, but it'll help it kind of not slide off the needle once you start pulling and yanking on it. And then at the end here, you're just going to want to tie a simple knot, and you do that by wrapping around your fingers, pinching it, wrapping it around, and kind of rolling it. It's kind of tough to do with the wax thread, but it goes right through and makes a little knot there, just like that. And you're going to pull it tight, just enough so you can pull your thread all the way through your book and it won't come all the way out, basically. So now with your C needle and your book, you just want to make sure everything's perfectly aligned. You're going to separate all your pages, go right through the middle from the inside, and we're going to find that center hole, and we're going to go through that first. Just like that. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Just push through it and then go on the other side and pull it all the way through. Yeah, this would be the part where you might have to grit your teeth or something like that. But you rather have it snug than too loose. So don't think you have to widen your holes or anything. And now I'm going to go through the top hole. There's your middle hole. And then I'm going to go through the top hole. It's a little hard to see here. I'm going to show you. There we go. Back into the book. And just pull it all the way through. And you're going to skip your middle hole and go all the way to your bottom hole. Right there. And push that on through. And pull it out the other side. All the way through. And then lastly, we're going to go back up through that middle hole. It's going to be a little hard to get through because there's a knot, but basically just push it through and move the knot out of the way a little bit and then pull it on through. You're going to make sure you want to get your thread as tight as you can, but you're not trying to rip your paper, so just pull it till it's snug, both your little ends there. Checking my work here. It's good. And now we're going to take both these sides of the thread and we're just going to tie another knot. Just a standard knot at its, at its tension point. And then just trim your thread after that. A lot of people leave their threads a little longer. I think it's just because they don't want their knot to slip out, but I've been doing this for a while, and I pretty much know that the knot's not going anywhere. So you just snip it to where you're comfortable, and then push it down and make sure it's out of your way. And that's your whole book right there. That's basically the book. So you can round the edges, you can cut it down, you can cut it into any shape you like from this point. But you basically have your whole book. So the format that I showed you before, the ones that I make the most, I round the corners and cut it down just a little bit. I also do my own illustrations on the front cover. So you can choose to do that or not. It's just my preference of doing things and kind of designating what the book is for. But yeah, that was the whole project. I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been extremely fun, and I hope you guys try to make these. If you do, let me know down in the comments below. I'd be so happy to hear about your projects and what you're doing. And remember to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more projects like this. Thank you for watching.